Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Anurag, and welcome to my channel. So today in this video, I have brought someone who is the example of perseverance. All right, so she actually got into family medicine residency in the year 2021 after 7 years from graduating from medical school. So, 7 years after graduation. So she actually checks in a lot of boxes where people would say she would not be a good candidate to get into residency because of this and that and all the myths out there, but she's here today to bust some myths. And today, actually, it's a story of perseverance. It's a story of hope. It's a story of never giving up. It's the story of Dr. Kalpana Ghimire Bair. Welcome, Dr. Kalpana, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhai.
Okay,
So happy to be here.
great. It's an honor to have you here as well, Dr. Kalpana, because your story. After you matched, you posted a video of you. I mean, it was not after you matched; it was on the day of the match, right? So you shared a video
Right.
where you were opening your results, and you were so excited, right? And it felt as if I had matched. Like the way you reacted, and I actually didn't know your story before that video, right? So I thought, why is she so happy? I mean, yeah, many getting matched is an amazing thing, right? But your level of happiness was just way over out of this world. So, how did it actually feel to match? So what was the feeling?
Oh my goodness. It was really hard work, working so hard to reach to that point and just seeing the result after so many years of not knowing what was going to happen and finally finding out, oh my goodness, this is it. This is the new beginning. So even now when I think about that day, that moment, even when I feel like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired, oh my goodness, so and so I made this mistake, so and so lost their life or something like that, it gives me motivation just thinking about that moment. It was nothing but pure joy.
Yes, I mean that video was really, it was really full of emotions, and I really, like want to live that point in my life as well. So that was amazing. So family medicine, right, Dr. Kalpana? Why family medicine, and what actually draws you towards this particular specialty?
Well, when I was working in Nepal, I did 1 year. I went to medical school in China. I did 1 year internship in China, and then I did 1 year internship in Beer Hospital. When I was doing internship, every department I rotated with, I fell in love with it. And I worked in Department of Anesthesia for a few months after finishing my internship. And I just couldn't decide on one specialty that I was, okay, this is it. This is the one that I want to get into. And when I came here, found out the scope of family medicine here, I quickly realized that's something I would really enjoy doing. I love seeing little kids. I love having that continuity of care with my patients and being able to make difference in their life while having the kind of relationship we get to have with our patients. So a lot of things. There's just so much scope within family medicine.
Okay, that's amazing. So I would like right now. I would like to talk to you about So what was your journey like? All right. So, you graduated the year of graduation, and then like 7 years down the line. So what happened? So a little bit quickly, about your medical school. When did you graduate? And the years that happened in between, culminating up to the match. So a little bit about your journey into USMLE, because you always tell me that you want to convey a story that it's possible, everyone can do it if you put enough hard work, right? So what I want people to know is that you know uh, what was going on in these 7 years that like after you graduated. So how it culminated into this ultimately matching into a family medicine. So a little bit into that.
Right. So I finished my medical school in 2012, but I had to do a mandatory internship back home. So I was done with everything in 2013. From there, leaving Nepal, coming here, starting over, realizing that medicine is really my calling and I'm not going to be happy if I can't pursue that here. Um, and just going through the journey of, oh my goodness, is it going to happen? Like I was thinking about it. It's not just 7 years. I was counting from the time I was done with medical school to starting residency. It's actually 9 years. Not knowing, some days going through the darkest of time and feeling like, oh, I'm not worth it, comparing myself with these other graduates who were recently graduating, people with really great scores, and not having such a great score, not being involved in research. Some days were really, really tough. But there was always this little voice and desire that told me, don't close the door on yourself. The day you close the door on yourself, it's done. If you keep on pushing, there's a reason. If I keep on going, something will come out of it. It is a journey worth pursuing. I'm privileged to be in this situation where not a lot of people are privileged to take USMLE, to apply to residency. Just to come to that point is a huge privilege. And I had that opportunity. So for me, definitely some days were harder than others, but worth it. I can say that from this point.
Yeah, I mean, when you look in hindsight, obviously, it's been a really long journey. It has its own ups and downs, but I think the view at the top would be pretty nice, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Worth it.
okay, so talking about a little bit, whenever it comes to USMLE exams and the whole matching process, there's always things involved, like you mentioned, about scores, about research, about letters of recommendation, and everyone wants to know those things, right? So when you gave your step exams, you told me that Anurag, my scores were not that great, and but I made it somehow, and that was your predicament when you talked to me, right? And so I
Right,
was wondering, like, okay, how bad could it be, right? I mean, when you said that it was not a very, stellar score, I was
right,
not hoping that you would say something like that, all right? And I think you
right.
want that to be put out in front of the world, because eventually you gave your step 2 exam, and then you improved a lot during that process, and everything happened, right? So can you tell us a little bit about what happened in step 1, and how were you able to pull yourself together, and then just go ahead with the second exam? So a little bit into that.
Absolutely. And I really want to reach out to people who are in my situation, because it was hard for me to find people like me who succeeded, got into residency. So I really want to reach out to those who don't have the stellar scores, but still like they're on the verge of, should I pursue? Should I stop right now? So I just barely passed my step one test. That day when I found out my score, it was the most devastating moment. Like I didn't know, I cried and cried, and I thought it's not worth pursuing. But like we said, keep on going, right? I didn't have a lot of research experience, but I had a lot of social work. Like I had a lot of volunteer work. More than anything, I had the desire to keep on going and not give up. I reached out to people. I tried to connect with people who were already practicing medicine, and people encouraged me. They really did encourage me. There are people who haven't passed this step one first time, and usually for American medical graduates, even if you if you don't pass step one the first time, you still apply, and there's a fair chance you can match. But as an old IMG with very less research, it's almost like unheard of. So it's doable. I did increase my step two score by a lot, but if I had stopped when I got the just passing score in my step one, this would not have been possible. So continuing no matter what, and building your resume as you go, proving yourself. Like, why are you interested in being a doctor here? Is it just the lifestyle? Is it just the money? Or that is your calling? Just recognizing what motivates you, because there are other jobs that you can take. There are other things you can pursue, but recognizing that this is your calling and you are ready to give whatever it takes. I think that helps to kind of move and motivate yourself. That was a big thing for me, and I had a really good support system. I have a father-in-law who is a PA. He kept on just encouraging me throughout the process. My husband was really helpful, and above all, my brother, who is a physician as well, and my dad, who is a health assistant back home in Nepal. All of them, I had a really good supportive system where people really believed in me. If not you, who? And I had to repeat that to myself. Yeah, a lot. It takes a whole village to um, help you grow and be there, not when you're on your top, not when you have succeeded, not when you have matched, but when I got that low step one score, I needed my people that day, and my people were there to support me.
That's amazing. I also like to talk a lot about support systems in my channel. Whenever I have someone in, I always ask them, how did you cope with it? Because if you have, if you're doing really good, then you don't feel like you need anyone else in the world, right? I mean, you can do it on your own, but especially when you're feeling low, and I think that is where the support is most relevant, most important. And like you mentioned, when you have a setback, if you have a good support system, if you have good safety net, I think it definitely helps. And yeah, I mean, you told me a lot about all of your supports when we had our chat earlier, and I was really inspired, and I was thinking that, yeah, I mean, what you see in the front is actually, there's a lot of background things behind the scenes going on. And talking about behind the scenes, yeah, I mean, your cat is named Jungli, right?
Yep. Yeah, that means
Yeah.
wild, and he's pretty wild.
Yeah,
This
I
right
mean,
here, I don't know if you can see it, but like I have a lot of scratch marks.
okay. I mean, the way your cat is sitting in the background, definitely it must be a really wild kind of a persona in your cat. So, anything particular about cats and why you love them? I heard that you've got 3 cats, right? I mean, why cats?
Well, I love all kind of animals. I actually I don't know, they are innocent, right? And I adopt them. I don't buy them. I go to shelter, and sometimes if I have time, I would love to go volunteer.
Wow,
I am super allergic to cats, but I take
really?
pills. Yeah. But I am so glad I have a house and I'm able to provide and take care of them. I'm in my 30s. We don't have any kids. They are family, and they are like my other kind of support system. When I come home from being super tired, and then they will just come and sit on your lap and purr, and it's fun to have animals. Yeah.
Okay, definitely. I'm more like a dog kind of person, but my sister is a
Yeah.
huge cat person. She's like, what she says is that, I want to go abroad, get a good master's degree and live in an apartment with around 10, 15 cats. She's that kind of
Oh
a
my
person. But
gosh.
for me, I mean, I think cats are like, I mean, I'm not very fond of them, but I don't dislike them either. So
They are
it's a
super smart. Because in our culture, like in our Nepali culture, Hindu culture, cats are kind of considered in a different way,
yeah.
So even my mom, when I was getting my cat, she was like, why not get a dog? You're getting another cat? And then I showed her like orange tabby, and she's like, oh my goodness, look at that cat. Now, every time I talk to my family, they're like, where are the cats? Yeah, they're
Okay.
smart.
That's amazing. So moving on to the like coming back into getting into residency. So you actually, one thing that was going on in your favor, I guess, is that you did not require a visa, right? You are a non-visa requiring international medical graduate. So that is there. I understand. That's one aspect of your application. So I have heard that you did a lot of jobs while you were preparing for your step one, and that there was a lot of experiences going on. So can you tell me a few kind of things that you did, to sustain yourself and just to be there? And what were you doing between these 7 years? Like what was going on? I mean, did you do some odd jobs here and there, or like you were working at a clinic, or how did you manage those years?
Right. Oh my goodness. Absolutely odd jobs. You have to start somewhere. I worked at a mall selling perfume, so I have a lot of knowledge about perfume. But at the same time, that kind of taught me a little bit about the consumer culture here. It helped me built my social skill, not being as shy while talking to people. That job led me to applying to a job working as a medical assistant. So that helped me connect with a different group of people. So it's just enjoying and appreciating even small things. I look back, yes, I worked at a perfume store. I was a practicing physician in my country. And then I come here and I'm working $8 an hour, barely able to pay rent and afford living here. And family and friends, they are doing residency back home. You compare yourself. It's it's a lot, but then that makes you who you are. On those hard times, you get to recognize what kind of person you really are, and you can use that towards pushing yourself and knowing your boundary. So I did work as a sales associates for a couple of years. I work as a medical assistant in a very busy ophthalmology clinic, and that definitely helped me. And I also worked with a family physician, but that was more of shadowing than actually participating in patient care.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I really love about you, Dr. Kalpana, is that you always say that whatever experience you can get, just do it. I mean, everything teaches you something in life, right? I mean, who would have, like, I think medicine also is like, I think we're also a bit, like we have to be a little bit social. We have to talk to people, because especially in internal medicine, family medicine, things like that, you have to get to people, because it's not like you prescribe a drug and you say, go home and take it. You have to convince them. And especially in US, and I think in the first world countries, what happens is that people are super aware of their conditions, and they sometimes even read up and come informed more than
Right.
you are sometimes, right? So I think your, the sales background, I think it also kind of fit into what you were going to pursue. And once again, the really thing that I really love is that you say that, whatever experience is there, it gives you a learning, there's a learning from there, pick it up, move on. That's life, right?
Right, right.
That's
That's
really.
what I mean. Yeah. It's a privilege to be in situation that we are, comparing to those who do not have education, comparing to those who do not have electricity, internet, and all these things. Like, we are so already so far ahead. I can either sit and cry and complain about my life and say, oh my goodness, my life sucks, or I can pick myself up. It's easy to say now. I remember how hard those days were for me, but everything you learn from everything, even through studying and staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning doing your questions. It kept me, like, when I'm now I'm doing my residency, I'm like, I used to stay up till 4 and study. I can do night shifts. It's easy, so yeah. You gotta be positive. You gotta be positive. There are a lot of things that has negative energy. You gotta try to continue from your side.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. Um, I think it was around 2 years ago, I came across this book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and it talks a lot about the law of attraction and how you can,
Yep.
attract things into your life and universe, and like you can talk to the universe, and the universe will give you things back if you do that. And I think that has been reflected in our conversation as well. I mean, you talked about being thankful. I think gratitude and being thankful, I think those two are amazing tools, I think, which you can use in your daily life. And I've noticed a change in myself as well since I started practicing it, because like you mentioned, there are a lot of things that you can be thankful to, regarding before going to bed. If you just lie down and imagine, there are so many things that you can be thankful about, that you start forgetting about what is like wrong in your life. I mean, some days it gets to you, definitely, because we're all humans, right? But gratitude
Right.
and that thing, I think it really really helps. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't expect to talk about law of attraction in today's video, but yeah, I mean,
No, I
that's a
love
different
it.
story.
No, I love it because I read that book when I was working at the store. I had a lot of time, so I would read a lot of books. And I actually wrote in that book that I want to match. Like, I wrote three
Wow.
things that I really wanted in my life. And I gave that to my friend, who is my sister in law now. And she had that book and she just returned that book to me a few months
Wow.
ago. And I was like, I had those things written. And guess what? All those things have come true. Call it superstition, call it practicing positivity. I don't know, but it worked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the book actually talks about, like write down your goals and, like think about it and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm really thankful that we got to talk about this
Yeah.
thing as well today. I mean, I didn't know that you would bring this up, but yeah, I'm glad that we read the same book. And the book says that, you should share it with someone else if you liked it and if it helped you, right? So I think with this video,
Yep.
both of us, like we can share that about that book. So I think that's a plus
Right.
point as well. uh,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on about for our viewers, let's go a little bit into application. All right, Dr. Kalpana. So, regarding your ARAS application, we know about your scores. We know about your year of graduation. Everything is there, right? So, what would you say was actually one of the strong aspects of your application that you believe that definitely like pushed your application forward and ultimately helped you to match? I mean, no one can tell you the golden rule or the secret formula for matching, right? But I mean, what do you
Right.
think was one of the most strong aspects of your application?
That's a really good question. Every place I interviewed at, they brought the fact that my personal statement was really inspiring, and the letter of recommendations the people wrote for me was what they trusted me despite my score and wanted to interview me. So I think having a really, really good personal statement was a key. I wrote my personal statement. I had somebody else look at my personal statement. And I had a friend of mine who is English major. She went and edited, and we redid the application again. I send it to people I know who are practicing here to read and kind of edit or see if I need to omit something or I need to add something. So I shared my personal statement with a lot of people to get an idea of what would a polished personal statement would look like. My story is different than your story. Your story is different than someone else's story. But to make you heard, because they are not going to see you, they're not going to see what kind of person you are. You only get this one chance of showing who you really are through your personal statement. Especially for someone who doesn't have a good score, who is older graduate, they want to know what are the gaps, what did you do, why are you here now? So explaining yourself is really important so that you can have a good conversation during interview and they understand your journey. Next thing, I worked so hard during when I was working as a medical assistant, and the doctor I worked for, he was the one who bought me my first aid book. He was like, you're gonna quit, you're gonna study, you're gonna take steps, you're going to be a doctor, you cannot waste your talent doing this. And he wrote such a great personal statement. I think that was a key, and it was genuine. It was not like, hey, I want to come work with you for 2 weeks and I want you to write a personal statement for me and I'll pay you $2,000. It's really high, but I don't have a choice. Do this. It was genuine. So that played a huge role. I also worked with refugees, and the one of the doctor who worked there saw me working with the refugees on a regular basis. He wrote another letter of recommendation. And that was, again, it was very genuine. And I worked with a different doctor. And it was all, I think, rather than a fabricated, I want to get this done just for the sake of getting this done, versus having those experiences and knowing those people in place and those people willing to help and write a good letter of recommendation with good personal statement. Those were definitely my strong points for my CV.
Okay, I mean, that's amazing. So, being an individual who has the permit to work, right? So I think
Yeah,
that opens up a lot of opportunities because those who require visa, who come on, like tourist visa, travel visa for their step exams, and they can't work, right?
right,
But
right,
someone who has a work permit, such as yourself, I think they
right.
have a lot of opportunities to maximize their CV as well, right? So if you were to give a few advice to people who do not require visas, who already have a
Right,
work permit and are IMGs, right? So what would
right.
you say, like what are some aspects they could explore to build their CV? Because it's a different group of people, right? So what would you
Yeah.
say they can do to build their CV?
Absolutely. Um, it is easy for me to say now, but I worked as a salesperson for 2 years. At that time, I was actively looking for any medical related jobs. Here in the US, even a medical assistant, they require 1 year schooling. You have to pass medical assistant board, and then you get to work as a medical assistant. You work as a physician and you want to come here and pay a bunch of money and work like study for 1 year to be a medical assistant. There's that ego factor, right? But in different states, there are different rules to work as a medical assistant. Looking for jobs, trying to connect with people, being shy is not going to work. Connecting with people, reaching out, applying, creating a good CV, asking if they don't invite you for a job interview, asking them, hey, I want to be better next time. What is it that I can do? Even if it's for a small job, not just for residency, kind of building yourself as you go is important. I think looking for a job, there are a lot of job looking like websites like Indeed and Google search. Just keep on applying, reach out to people that you know, reach out to families from Nepal, reach out to people from here. um, Communication, connecting with people, being involved in society, like community work, like volunteering, because oftentimes if you volunteer at a homeless shelter clinic, you will meet some healthcare personnel working there, and you can connect through that way. There are so many ways. I feel like we don't know because it's not as spoken frankly, and we, a lot of us end up being Uber drivers or working at restaurant or working at malls, so we don't know like what route to go for. So just Googling every time you don't know anything, there's so much information out there. Building your resume, don't be shy. If you have to clean a clinic, you can start from there. That's better than working at a restaurant because you are at least in that building. You can meet with people. So there are other things as well. For medical, for ophthalmology technician, there are a lot of places where they will not require you to have a medical assistant degree. So keep on looking, telling them, hey, these are my experience, I have already done this, I'm not shy. And they will tell you, oh, you're so overqualified. No, no, I really, really need this. I am nothing right now. Help me out. Putting yourself, telling your story, sharing your story, that can be helpful. That can be helpful. Just working on research, jobs. There are so many potentials when you can work versus when you can't work.
So yeah, I mean, whenever I talk about, talk to you, I get that sense of never stop moving forward. That's it, right? If you were to, you always tell me that as well. So I like before my interviews also, I called you up and you were like, yeah, just be yourself, and like don't worry about it. If you have a story, just convey them to the best way possible. Just show them that you're capable of doing a lot of things. And I was while I was applying for this year, I was really skeptical. I mean, the match is really unpredictable, right? No one can tell you what's going to happen, and especially with the visa restrictions and travel restrictions. I had a little bit of a less amount of United States clinical experience, hands-on, and I
Right.
remember calling you, and you were like, just be yourself, just do it. If something does not work out, improve yourself, get it done next year. So I think that predicament really helped me out, to get some of my nerves off. And then I was like, okay, fine, yeah, I'll do my best, and the rest is up to the universe, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, in that same thing, I really feel that your story needs to be out there, and it has inspired me, and I hope that a lot of viewers will be inspired by your story as well. So that's
Oh,
really nice. A few things that you said were like, so make your personal statement really well. That's one thing, and get it reviewed, like as you mentioned.
right. Yeah.
Try to build your CV in any way possible.
Yeah.
Network with a lot of people, and just keep the wheel rolling. I mean, I think that should
Yeah.
be good enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, I think those are the questions that I had lined up for you today, Dr. Kalpana. So, is there anything that you would like to, like add before we get into a little bit of an informal talk and some fun questions that I've lined up for you? A little bit of, like word of advice for people who are going to apply next year or who have applied and who are waiting for this, because this journey is actually a bit challenging. I mean, not everyone is in the
Right.
same position. Some people have an advance. Some people are like, they say, yeah, this person has got a visa already, so they're going to match. Someone
Right.
is like, yeah, they've got good communication skills, they'll surely match. Someone else is like, yeah, that person has got these scores, and they'll surely match. But ultimately, you never know what's going to happen, right? So it's very unpredictable. It's very arduous. It's a challenge in itself. So, what would be your word of advice regarding coping with this whole situation? This whole journey of uh, becoming a doctor and working as a
Right.
whole. So what would be your quick advice to people who are
Right.
aspiring to be doctors in the United States?
Right. That's such a great question, and everyone cope in their own way. But I want to say there's Anurag, that's your parents' son, your uncle's nephew, and there's Dr. Anurag. Finding that Anurag first is so important, and surrounding yourself and knowing who really care about you and why you want to work so hard on yourself. What are you just trying to prove something, or you just really get pleasure from doing what you do? Finding that core you, it can be really challenging and hard because we go through medical school. USMLE is not a joke. A lot of money, time. Other people will be doing residency. You're still studying. Oh my goodness, you are not done with your steps. Oh my goodness, when are you going to match? Like, a lot of people to answer to, and a lot of those outside voice. You compare yourself with your friends, somebody who has visa, somebody who's already in the US, somebody who has score in the 260s, and then you look at yourself and you look all the false negative things that can push you down. Work on those things. You still have time to work and rebuild those things. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's never easy. That's why it is so hard, and only few people will make through that hill, right? And we are already in a very privileged position. If not this, you're still going to be a doctor. You'll still have an opportunity to have a really good life. It's just sometimes accepting that, okay, this is not meant for me. I still have a family. I still have a parents who really love me. I still have a wife, a husband, a brother who genuinely cares for me, and I can still be happy with or without this. Knowing that, and also knowing your purpose, why you are doing this, and working on recognizing early on your weakness and working on filling those gaps. What can you do? What can you do? Okay, this is a red flag. What can you do to make yourself heard, or make yourself explain to people who are looking at you through a bunch of papers, right? It's easy for me to say, but there's hope. There are a lot of people who have matched, who haven't matched, who have been doctor, left the profession because they don't want to be there. You are not you because you are a doctor. You are you because of the love and people who support you and care about you. Find that, so that on dark days you can come back and recharge and re-energize and go and do what you need to do. I think that's really important. It's not just being a doctor. It's not just getting through USMLE. It's not just making low tons of money. It's not all that. It's finding out who you truly are, and then surrounding yourself with people who love you and support you, and doing something good for them as a result, or having that connection with people. That's what's important, and you'll do great. Like, you'll do great, and your viewers who are watching, if you're looking for a sign, if you're looking for something to just give you a little push, if you're on a verge and you're thinking, I don't know if it's worth it or not, if I did it, you can do it, and it's worth it. If it's worth it to you, it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, stumbling across this video can also be a sign, right? That
Right.
it's a sign from the universe that someone randomly it popped up and there's someone giving you advice about keep pushing. So I think that's also
Yeah.
one of the signs that you can get. I mean, yeah, before I start to roll a tear down my cheek, I'm not getting sentimental. I
Oh, come
think
on.
I think So yeah, that was an amazing story that you shared with us, and a story about hope, like I mentioned in the beginning, right? About perseverance and just moving forward and taking life head on. I think that's a few things that I really take from you. And yeah, I wish I was as strong as you, but I'm trying, because I get to meet a lot of people through this platform, and everyone has a unique story, and it gives me a little bit of perspective about what things are going on. People are going through a lot of things, and I think this is a great story that it should be out there. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, Dr. Kalpana, and I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you've been caffeinated heavily for this episode because you recently came from like your night shift. So yeah, so before we end it, I would like to ask you a few short questions, like a rapid fire, just to get the mood a bit lightened up. So yeah, so let's start. So what do you think? I'll give you some questions and you have to
Okay.
decide. All right. So our traditional Nepali dal bhat versus momos. What do you prefer?
Dal bhat achar any day.
Okay. Dal bhat Power 24 Hours is actually one of the shirts
Yeah.
that I have. And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I would go with dal bhat as well any day. Okay. So what's your favorite color?
Red.
Red. Okay. Can you give me a little bit of an explanation about why you feel that color is, I mean, your favorite color?
Bright.
Okay.
It's bright.
Right.
It's
Okay.
it Yeah.
Great. So I
It
was going to ask you,
illuminates.
sorry. Sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's bright. It illuminates. It's especially in our culture, it's regarded as, I don't know, lucky color. So I guess it just carried on, and I like red.
Okay, great. I was also going to ask you about your favorite animal, and you already indicated that you really like cat, right? Cats. So, any particular reason why cats, apart from what you
It's
said
really
earlier?
funny. It's really funny. Okay. To be honest, my husband is a cat person as well. And when you're married, he doesn't like dogs as much. He'll kill me if he hears this. But we kind of compromised. And when we got to get our first cat, she just, we saw the situation what the animals were in, and I just couldn't like resist. So and there are organizations, I'm not trying to advertise, but there are people in Nepal who take care of animals. And I think that's such a neat thing to do, because you're not getting anything in back, but you're just giving back to these helpless animals. Cats are super smart. They don't require a lot of work. You can leave them and go on a 24-hour trip somewhere. You just leave food and water. For versus for dog, you have to take them out for a walk. You cannot leave them out. They will eat all their food within 5 minutes of leaving them alone. Cats will just eat their food, take their time. They clean themselves. They're super clean. I mean, they're just amazing.
Okay, that's great. So another question: if not family medicine, then what? I mean, any other specialty that you would love to go into?
Internal medicine.
All right. I think
Yeah, we
after
could
doing
probably. Yeah,
no, no,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I mean, I wanted to say that after doing so many UWorld questions, you actually start feeling like you feel like as if you know all the specialties. I mean, you want to be there in the thick of it, right? Because after you do UWorld for so long, I think there's no other specialty that you can even think about, right? But
Right.
yeah, I mean, internal medicine is vast as well. But yeah, a lot of people whom I've asked this question, they usually say internal medicine because we're trained in that way, right? Our country's
Right.
education system, even in China, they
Yeah.
produce more generalists, and I think that's the
Yeah.
reason. So the reason that I
I'll tell you
asked you,
why, though.
yeah,
Sorry,
sure.
I'll tell you why. I'm just done with my internal medicine rotation.
Oh
Every
wow.
rotation I go to, I love it so much. So I'm just done with it. That might be the reason why, but also internal medicine is very close to family medicine. Um, I, as a family medicine doctor, actually can work as a hospitalist, even though I'm not trained in internal medicine. So we are very close. We have very close relationship.
That's great. So the reason I asked you about the color and their animal is because there's a reason for it. So I mean, don't worry about it. It's
No,
nothing
I'm
too
just kidding. I'm
extreme.
just kidding.
So it's like a basic psychology question. So what whenever you ask someone what their favorite color is, according to that particular like post, or the kind of the
Yeah.
psychology trick. So the color that the person says, is actually what
Yeah.
they want themselves to be viewed by others. Okay. So the reason I asked you why you wanted to choose red was because you said it was bright, it illuminates, right? So I think that you want other people to look at you as someone who illuminates, like wherever you go, you leave that, like ambience, you leave that radiating, kind of a sunlight kind of a thing, right? So I think it might not be true, but that is one of your personality traits, I guess. But maybe I got it
I'll
wrong
take
or
it.
right. It does not.
No, I'll take it. I think there's some truth to it. At this point, I haven't slept for so many hours. I'll take it.
Yeah, but I mean, so one is that, and the second one is that when you ask people about what their favorite animal is, actually, their favorite animal and the reason is actually what they want their spouse to be like. So let's not get into details about that. I'll leave it up to you to think
No, I'm
and
gonna talk
decide.
to my husband about it because I like that concept.
Yeah, so I mean that's why I asked you about those two questions. So yeah, that was really a fun session that we had today, Dr. Kalpana. Thank you so much for making the time to be here. And yeah, I think with that, I would like to wrap this session up. Any words before we wrap it up?
No, thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity to speak out to you and your audience. And like you said, keep up the good work because you're touching a lot of people you may not even know. And people are just randomly looking at what can I do? How can I be inspired? So keep up the good work and good luck for Matt. Great
Thank you
things
so
gonna
much.
happen.
Thank you so much, Dr. for your, I mean, like really amazing words. It also keeps me really motivated because sometimes when you are working as a physician as well and everything is there, sometimes it kind of gets a bit hectic and you don't know what you are doing. And sometimes you lose direction. But, whenever I talk to someone like you, a lot of my seniors, it gives me a lot of that, energy to keep pushing forward. So that's amazing. So once again, thank you very much for being here, and thank you to Jung Lee for making a special appearance in the middle.
He's dead
So
asleep.
yeah, with that said, I would like to wrap this session up for today. So yeah, I mean, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. So yeah, this is Dr. Anurag and Dr. Kalpana leaving off and signing off with a promise to meet you yet again in another video. So until then, stay happy, stay positive, and as always, stay strong.